Okay, our next part is another flashlight piece. I only have the 2 pictures to go from here, but again, it shouldn't be too difficult. Although it may be counterintuitive to start this for what you might normally think of. I'm going to sketch half of the part. And sometimes this works well the first time, and sometimes I have to go back and adjust. So bear with me, I don't have any dimensions to work from. I add a couple of fillets on here. Oh, I made this part tiny. And you know what? I'm going to delete this. And instead I'm just going to extend that all the way down. Alright. So now that I have this outside shape, and actually I might add just a little bit more detail. Let me look at the picture again. It's not a whole lot to go off of there. We'll just stick with this. We'll finish our sketch, and instead of doing extrude, we're going to revolve it around this inside center axis. We'll take a look at the bottom. Looks like there's quite a bit of detail there. So we'll make a new sketch. And I'm just going to slop a couple things together here. I do want these to be lined up. I'm going to sketch a line in between them. I'm going to turn that line into a construction line. And then I'm going to make that vertically aligned with my center point. If I don't crash the computer, at least. I'm going to make the widths of them equal. And I'm just using this to kind of make this cut in between here. So I really don't care about how far it goes over the outside edges of the circle. What I really care about is how skinny it is and how far out it is. And I can always go back and change this to whatever I need it to be. It should go out the same distance from each side. That looks pretty good. Make a couple of circles. And there's different ways that you could do this. Let's use a circle. We're going to make our circle a construction line. And let's pretend that you measured the distance from this edge to this very inside edge here. So you took your dial caliper, you pinched it inside there, and you found out what that distance was. That would be the distance between this circle and this one here. And that looks pretty small. So that looks about right. If that was correct, then I could say that this little circle is tangent to that. That's where you pinch the dial caliper in between. Okay. I don't remember if I made those two circles equal or not, so I'll go back and say that. They are horizontally aligned already. I did that just with the little line that automatically pops up, but I can reinforce that. Looks like they weren't quite perfect. And I'll make one more 2-point rectangle that goes in between here. And I want to make sure that lines up with this. I'll check it just by grabbing that and dragging. Okay. I'm going to trim out these two lines. And now I'm good to start to cut. Oop. Careful when you are selecting things. Not that you click the wrong thing. I'm going to switch this to cut, make it something small. Okay, now you have this little tab here. When we made our original sketch, if you were following along, you made the sketch on this center axis. This is important because now you have in your origin folder planes that go through the middle of all this. I want to find the plane that is splitting between the two circles here. And I'm going to make a new sketch on this plane. For me, it's my XY. For you, it might be something different. I'll right-click and say Slice Graphics, or you can hit F7 on your keyboard, either way. And now I'm going to project geometry of this line. I'm going to make a 3-point arc. I can't tell how close that is to there. Let's assume there's some kind of a gap in between. I'm going to make a little bit of an arc, and I'm going to make a line that goes straight past it. I'm assuming that you can measure the thickness of that part. It'll be flexible enough to do something with. And I'm going to offset. I'll offset it before I put that in. It's my offset tool. Trim this in. Again, you should be able to change this to whatever you need. Now, what we have is a partial sketch that's right in the middle of this. I don't know what the width is because I don't have it with me, but when I go to extrude this, I want to say I'm extruding from both sides equally. And now it'll make that tab for you in something different. Now if you want to make this material different, let's go back to our original sketch here. I'm going to make just a little notch on this. So that when I finish my sketch, it has a line around it. I can click on something, right-click, go down to Properties, and change the color of that to something different. So I'm going to make this black. And if you hold down Control, you can select multiple surfaces and change these all at once. My computer's slowing down a little bit here. Alright, computer is not responding. Alright, so I just held down Control to select multiple surfaces. I made those all black. So now I have that little tab. I have something that's a different material type here, even though it's all in one same part file. Now make a new sketch on the top so I can try and make this. We're just going to use another rectangle. Again, geometric constraints are very useful. We just want to make sure this is symmetric. It's aligned with this. If you measure the distance from the edge of your circle, you can make that into a construction line. So make a line, and if you measure from this side to this flat side, you should get some number here. So you can make this precise. And I can't tell how far down this needs to go. That looks about right. Then you have a series of new sketches you're putting on top here. I wouldn't worry about getting too particular with everything here unless your teacher is very keen on details. You just want a good representation on what's inside of this, I would think. So the amount of detail is really up to you. I think that should really answer it. Alright, I think that wraps up this video. Again, let me know if this doesn't quite answer the questions, and I will see what I can do.